Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Ask Us Anything. Today, we're tackling AI and what that means for marketers everywhere. And I'm really pleased to dive in today with Rahul Chakkara from Mantis AI, where we sit down and have a conversation about how marketers can use AI, how AI is disrupting the marketing role, and why we shouldn't be afraid of AI. Sit in, buckle up. We're going to dive in. Thanks, everybody. Hi, Raul. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I want to ask you some steering questions about AI for marketers. Um, it's something that we've read a lot about. It's everywhere in the press. LinkedIn articles, LinkedIn experts talking about all the different things that marketers need to know about for AI. And I think that there's some real uh, missing pieces in some of the articles that I've read. They're just saying a lot about AI, but they're not really telling me anything that I truly need to know. At least that's how I feel about it. And so what I would love to talk to you about today is, first of all, where do you see what are the areas where marketers can really take advantage of AI? How can AI help marketers be better at their jobs?
Oh, Andy, thanks for the opportunity. Marketing is an interesting area for AI because I believe AI will make marketing better. Um, Marketing has the huge advantage that most companies have data about the customers, about the prospects within the company, a lot, and outside the company, whether it's the social media or elsewhere, they have lots and lots of data. So this sets a foundation for marketers to apply AI on top of that to find patterns and find intelligence within the data in order to exploit that to provide much more effective and valuable value proposition to their both prospects and customers. So the way they can do about it, I've broadly divided into 4 areas, but it could be more. And the first area I would say is insight gathering. We have a lot of data inside the company, and even inside the company, it's usually fragmented across the company. So you can bring them all together. Outside the company, about the prospects and the customers, you can bring them all together. And then from these data, you can synthesize and understand more about the customers and prospects that can be used to market to them. So that's number one. Number two is create based on that understanding of the customers and prospects. So that what I mean by that is do the creative based on that, and then test it also. And you will learn a lot from the testing process, and it will be an iterative process. So you can actually then distill it down, fine-tune it down to a creative or creatives that will work with your customers. And the reason I say it's creatives is one of the opportunities that marketers have with AI is they can segment the customer base into multiple segments. And it doesn't need to be a handful, it can be many, because it's automated, it's run by machines, so you don't have to be restricted to 3 or 4 segments. It could be even 100 segments. And each segment, you will have a very different optimal creative for each of the segments. And you can find the right creative for each segment and send it to those customers. So that's the second part. The third part is if you're in digital marketing, you could use AI to add another level of automation and intelligence to real-time bidding and demand-side platforms, etc. So you can for publishing, for bidding, etc. And then the fourth is reporting. Every act of every digital marketing, publishing, or interaction with customers creates data. And all this data you need to understand in order to understand whether you're doing well or you're not well. And that data needs to be brought together and made sense of it. You can do it manually, or AI can be a very powerful tool to do this in an automated fashion. So those are the 4 areas I believe it could be AI can be used in marketing today.
I
Just
love it.
as a starting, just to give an example, if you were a brand, I don't know, a brand of a fashion brand.
Hmm.
If you're a fashion brand, you usually have a good idea of trends, but
Right.
not necessarily in real time. If there's a trend emerging in your in a city, you live in New York, there might be a new trend
Hmm.
emerging in New York, which might be very different from the rest of the country, or will be very different from Paris. But if you have access to all this data, you would be able to understand what trends are emerging. So, number one, insight gathered. Number two, what do you do about the trend? You do make a creative based on that trend. Test it with those customers. Most probably, the first iteration will not work very well. Change it,
Hmm.
and that change can be also automated. And then you
Hmm.
finally come to a creative that actually works, and then it gets published in an automated fashion in Instagram as a channel, one channel, to those customers, that segment for whom that trend is relevant. And then your reporting bot could look at all the interactions with your creative, understand it, and bring you back a report on it. And all this could be done within hours.
Amazing. Are there obvious tools? And I don't know if we can ask that question, but um, are there obvious tools that we should be looking at that will do those one, two, three, or four of those suggestions that you just made?
There are tools that are emerging which does each one of them. There is no
Hmm.
single platform that actually does everything. There are tools that are emerging that do either one or two of the four. I haven't come across a platform that does all the four. It would be wonderful to have a platform, and I'm sure someone is making it, developing it at the moment. But at the moment,
Somewhere.
till now, till January, second week of January, I haven't seen one.
Gotcha. Are there favorites that you have that you
Ooh.
could suggest?
Uh, there are for insight gathering, there are products like Compite, Rival IQ, and I'm sure there are others.
Hmm.
And I risk getting spammed for not mentioning their
Right.
tools product. For
Sure.
creating for content, the obvious ones are, as I said, ChatGPT,
Mhm.
DALI for images, Midjourney for images. Pika is coming up for videos.
Right.
Early steps, but you can see that actually AI can be used to create some videos that can be commercially used. It's not yet there, but I'm thinking we are a few months away, not that far.
Not that far.
But yeah, but again, I want to stress one point. All this,
Hmm.
all the content, creatives, etc. What you will get most probably is the first iteration, is a not the final product.
Right.
We will help you. It'll help you do repetitive work, etc. But the final bit always requires a human touch, if needed. There might be some sectors, categories where you don't, but mostly you will require human touches. So in most cases, all these are products that actually augment the marketing workflow. They do not completely, not yet, replace anyone.
Well, that was actually, you're hitting on the next thing that I think is the natural next question, which is AI coming for my job? Um, so
Not if you're using AI.
not if you're using it. So we are encouraged to use it, but to augment or to get things started.
Yeah.
It won't, at least at this point, it's not replacing anything.
I don't believe it is. We are at a place where it is replacing it. It's going to help everyone in a marketing company, in a marketing agency. It is going
Mhm.
to help everyone do the jobs quicker, um, maybe even better, and and I think all of us would be better marketers if we use AI products. And also it's going to be useful to understand what works and what doesn't work. And the only way to know about it, to learn that, is by actually using it.
I love that. Try it, get into it,
Trying. You
you know,
have to try. And you don't have to try everywhere in every part of
right.
agency, because that is going to be highly disruptive.
Right.
You have to start introducing in parts of the organization where the tools are slightly more mature, where the teams are ready to actually use it, try it,
Hmm.
and there's low resistance to change. And once you start adopting in one part of the organization, you can start then use AI in other parts of the organization, and slowly you can diffuse it across the organization. And AI then is going to become a product for you, a technology for you that will be, number one, you're competitive. It will give you competitive advantage, and number two, you wouldn't know a few months from now how you ever worked without it.
I'm wondering, is there an area for marketing in particular that you feel is more mature? That's the question that I wanted to come back to. Um, there's a lot of different ways that AI can be and is disrupting the marketing function today, but is there one particular area that you think is more mature than the others?
Yes, and I think that's in digital marketing area where there is in the real-time bidding and use of DSPs, etc. Because these are platforms that are already based on data. They're highly
Hmm.
automated, and what AI, the use of AI is not going to be that disruptive. It's going to
Hmm.
add another level of intelligence to these platforms. So I suspect AI is already being uh, applied in those platforms or being incorporated in those platforms, and it is not going to be disruptive at all. While in other parts, it's more manually driven. So you could see uh, you will have to manage the incorporation or the introduction of AI a bit more carefully.
Got it. So just to wrap things up, you've got one final piece of advice that you can give to marketers out there. What would here we are in January 2024. What is your one piece of advice to marketers as it relates to AI?
Um, I think one of the interesting things I have understood over the past few months is that lack of AI or lack of use of AI could be a barrier for hiring recruitment, because the people who are coming out of university are AI savvy.
Mm.
They expect companies to be using AI.
Hmm.
And if your company is not using AI or is resistant to using AI, I think you might have difficulties hiring people.
Yeah.
That sounds like a negative. Let me flip it. Uh, I think you will become a very desirable place to work, to hire, if you're already seen as one of the forward-thinking um, AI using companies. I think
Yeah,
you find it easier to hire new talent and talent from other companies.
really interesting. Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with me today. Just as we wrap up, just tell everybody who you are, a little bit of an intro to Rahul.
Okay. I'm Rahul Chakkara. I am based in London, UK. I started my life as a marketer with Procter& Gamble. Right now, I run my own AI company, and I have I'm at a fantastic time of my life where I'm bringing three strands of my life together. I trained as an engineer. Um, I started my life as a marketer. I've been doing AI for the past 5 years, so now I'm bringing all three together
Wow.
to help companies uh, transform into an AI-led company. And if anyone wants any discuss it, let me stop there. Let me rewind. And if anyone wants to talk about AI, just to have an informal discussion, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm extremely happy, as Wendy would certify. I'm extremely happy to talk about AI to any company anytime.
Amazing. I love our AI conversations. This is just one that we've recorded. I know you and I have talked multiple times about AI, and I always learn something new and fresh every single time that we sit down and chat. So I definitely value that time that you dedicate to those conversations. So thank you. And thank you for doing this with me today. Really appreciate it, and all of your insights and your forward thinking around what's happening in the world of AI. So with that, thank you.
Thank
And
you,
I'll see you
Wendy.
next
Look,
time.
I enjoyed speaking with you in December, November, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we met. So at any time, if you want to have a chat or you just want to bounce off some ideas,
You know I
that's
will. You
let's
know
do
I
it.
will.